I'm Victoria. I'm Vanessa. Yeah, it's okay if you can't tell us apart. I guess we would call it Twingineering. Yeah.
3, 2, 1. Welcome back
Welcome back
to our 35th
35th.
episode of Twingineering. If you're new here, welcome. If not, welcome back. My name is Victoria,
And I'm Vanessa.
and we created this podcast to be a resource for Latinas and first generation minorities in engineering by providing advice, our knowledge, testimonies, and bringing on guests to provide their advice, knowledge, and testimonies. But today we do not have a guest, so thumbs down for that. Um, but we will be getting into some more technical interview questions. So, as a continuation of our interview question series, our first or last episode was more behavioral slash skills questions, a little bit technical. But today we'll start getting into like the second or the first phase of technical questions, and then our next episode will be more technical. But before we get into all of that, we're going to start off with some weekly highs and lows to get the conversation flowing, and hopefully we don't stutter today. Okay. So, Vanessa, do you want to go first?
Yeah.
We'll start off with the lows.
Yes. So let's see. My low is I was reminded that I'm a woman today. Um, we pay a monthly tax for that. It's been unfortunate.
We do.
And also the light in my living room went out and it's very tall to reach it. So
Yeah.
I'm vertically challenged and that's my next challenge of the week, maybe.
Yeah. Vanessa is not very tall, so
Correct.
we will see if that gets fixed.
TBD.
Um, my low was that today was going to be my leg day, which was like already uh I was already
Yeah.
fighting it. I mean, I did go like last Sunday, so technically the Sunday is the start of the week, so I have the rest. Anyways, doesn't matter. And then I woke up to my lower left back feeling like I pulled something, although I don't know what I did because I didn't do a lot yesterday. And so we'll see how that feels later on. Hopefully nothing serious.
Maybe
And
stretch.
yeah, I know I have been
Oh,
trying to.
sorry.
So yeah, anyways, I didn't do my leg day this morning. I try to go to the gym in the mornings and on the weekends at least so that I get it done and over with and there's not that many people, but anyways, that was my low. Um, weekly
Yeah.
highs, Vanessa.
Yes, thank you.
You're
Um,
welcome.
last weekend was our recital for the dance studio that I work at, I'm a part of. And it was a good time, super busy, but it was good. All the children's and all the people's dancing. And then
Nice.
I yes yesterday I ran a 5K with a couple friends. I forced like not forced, I guess convinced like for other people to do it, and then like we saw other people there, so it was a good time.
Nice. My weekly high was that I finally dropped in weight.
Yeah.
Yes, if you don't know, I have been on a cut for a good amount of time now, but I had plateaued for like a month and I was losing it because I was like, what am I doing wrong? Anyways, um, edited the program, finally dropped, so proud of that. Yeah, and then we'll keep going.
Pets are hard.
Yes, especially when I want everything from Trader Joe's. Um, okay, so moving on to something either new that we learned in our current role or something new that we tried within the past week or since the last time we filmed an episode. I'll start. So this past week, I learned how to update firmware at work. I won't go into the details, but Yeah, I am not a firmware person. And I think the first time I ever tried to do that, like early on in my job, I like completely like just made the part stop working. So this is progress.
You're like, it didn't update, guys, but if you
Yeah,
wanted it to not
it
work, here
like
it is.
it like froze up and then they're like, you're gonna need to send it back to us. So progress was made for sure. Yeah, that's yeah.
Mm, that's a good step. That's a good
Yep.
step. For me, I just started like watching EE related videos again. Um, I think for a bit I kind of just how does it like steered away from it? Not steered.
Yeah. We're just like
Oh,
not focused on it really. Yeah.
yeah. Anyways, but yeah, like it's kind of it's fun, when you do it on your own pace and you're not like, "Oh my God, I have a midterm in like 2 days."
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been fun just relearning that kind of stuff. So,
Yeah, I've been doing something similar where like I'm reviewing like test procedures that I have to do every day, but like going into like the physics of it and stuff, and I romanticize it by turning it on and putting it on my TV. So it's like I'm watching TV.
right.
And I'm like, wow, this is so entertaining.
This
I
episode of
mean,
The
it
Office is
is.
so good.
It is, but also it's like a lot. Um,
Yeah.
so it's important to figure out what works.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we will be getting into the topic of today's episode, which is interview questions part two. Um, more technical questions. So these
Yeah.
kinds of questions are kind of more related to like what you have on your resume, like your contribution, compared to like super technical questions that are like, what is the physics behind this? What does this component do? And they're also not behavioral skills questions, which are more like, I mean, yeah, tell us about yourself, but also um, like team related questions.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so the first question that we have up here, is what was one time you saw a process that needed improvement and did something about it? So one thing to keep in mind, I think we kind of mentioned this in the last episode, is to have that like toolbox of experiences that you can use towards different questions, but make sure it's like not the same answer. So just think of a couple of experiences or projects that you can apply different questions to so that you're not like spending 5 minutes trying to think of how to answer a question. Um,
Another thing to think of is like what your contribution was. So like even if it was for example, like the one time you saw a process that needed improvement and you did something about it, like even if it was like maybe like you and someone else who did something or is like a collaboration, um just focus on your contributions, like exactly what you did, your activity, and then also like what the results of it was, like maybe efficiency went up or like a lot of people like to hear numbers. So if there was numbers involved, like um I don't know, like our quality rate went up by certain amount or whatever, right? So, I would say also just focusing on your own contributions, and highlighting that as well.
yeah, I think efficiency is definitely one thing. Like if you can name a certain example, like that would be
Yeah.
good. I lost the page. Sorry. It can also be like something smaller in a project, like, or it can be related to money, like maybe you're spending too much, like how did you control the budget? And then like the project ended up working, or maybe like someone, like your part was, I don't know, something mechanical, but you know how to code, and like something was like not working with the code, and you saw that, if you didn't like try to contribute, like you weren't going to be done in time. You know what I mean? Like, And
Yeah.
then you can say what you did to help that process out, um, and how you became successful by doing that, or your team, your project, um, later became successful by you doing that. I'm trying to think of like other processes. Yeah, I would just say think of efficiency. I think that's the main thing.
Yeah, especially for a process.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's a big one.
Mm-hmm. But, you know, obviously, disclaimer, we don't have all the answers, so I'm not guaranteeing you're gonna get the job either, but we're just here to help. Okay, we can always come back, but I'll move on to the next question. What was your role in your most complex project? What challenges you encountered and how you dealt with them? So in these kinds of questions, they're gonna probably just ask you more details about
Mhm.
your project and your contributions. Um, let's see.
I think that also it would be good if you could directly correlate, like, for example, like this complex project, like if that was listed on your resume, because
Yeah.
then they kind of like know what you're talking about. Um, so I mean, you can obviously talk about a project that's not listed on your resume, right? But like I think if anything, they will ask you about those because that's what they see.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, just kind of I mean, a lot of, what we said for the last question does apply to this, like specifically your role.
Hmm.
And then like what challenges you encountered. Um, I guess don't be afraid to like list more than like one or two, right? Because then you could also provide like the result and how you dealt with them for multiple, it's not like, oh, you only had one problem.
Yeah.
Like that's like, okay, so it seems like it went pretty well. And even though like if you encounter like more challenges or maybe like things fail, right? I think you talking through that process and how you overcame it or like resolved it tells the interviewer a lot more than
Hmm.
if you're like, oh no, it was like super successful and nothing went wrong because
Yeah.
I don't know, I was so
Yeah.
good.
It does tell them more about your like thinking process and like as an
Yeah.
engineer, that's like super important. Um, I mean, even if you failed, like the process is also super important. Um, yeah, like I think one thing I remember was our senior design project, and I don't think our role was like to fix the motor, but that was just something that was like not working, and we'll just say that was my role. Um, what challenges you encountered? Like the motor didn't want to turn, right? Um,
Or like it wasn't going at this like correct
oh
time. It
yeah,
was just
correct
like it
speed.
was
Yeah, it was
random. Yeah.
stuttering, it was stuttering.
Yeah.
And so I think like one challenge was how it was programmed. And also two, there's just a bunch of team challenges. So you can talk about those two things, how you dealt with them, like spending more time, like looking more into detail into the code and how you solved it, but also like how you dealt with um the team challenge.
Members.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um and yeah, and then blah, 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 sorry. And then they might ask you like what kind of motor, um, like why did you choose that part? Um,
Mm.
I'm trying to think what else they could ask.
I
I
think
don't know,
sometimes
like cost, huh?
I mean like sometimes it's like we were kind of given a few options, right? Like
Yeah.
interior design, sometimes it comes down to cost. Like you can only get certain.
Yeah, yeah. But then also like they might just ask like, okay, like you chose this motor. What's the difference between like this motor and a different motor? Or like,
Mhm.
so just know like your role, but also like technical stuff about that, about
Yeah.
your role, or your specific task on the project. Um, yeah.
Mm.
Okay. So next question. How do you describe, okay, this one They may not ask this, but I'm just gonna throw this out there. I had this in the Google Doc forever. How do you describe creativity and name something creative you made, or like um how like describe a way that you solved a problem like through a creative solution. I think maybe that's more relevant.
Mm,
Um yeah, like you saw a problem, what was a way that you use creativity to reach the
the
solution?
solution.
Yeah. Um and yeah, so this is where you would have to pull your like toolbox of projects again. I think when I was listing this, I thought of when we were doing it was an EE Emerge project with the fan and the sensor thingy.
Mm.
I forget what it was, but we needed a funnel. And so we didn't have one to like test out the fan. And so we like created one with like
Oh
a
yeah,
card or like a paper. Um And so like that's something like super small, but like it's part of the project and we needed it and we made it work. And
yeah,
we used creativity to finish that project. Um, Also during COVID. So like what were we gonna do, you know?
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so that's like a small example. Um,
That's a good one, I'd
yeah.
say.
Yeah. So just think once again like of your toolbox of ideas, experiences that you can pull from. But that's I think one example that I had when I was looking at these questions. Um, yeah, Vanessa, do you have anything else to add?
I would just say like when you do think of these like experiences or like what to put in your toolbox, like don't count anything out really. Like you know how
Mhm.
you just said like oh it's something small, but like at the end of the day it is something. And
Yeah,
like also considering that it was like during COVID, so you kind of did have to use your resources for a lot of things. Like
what
they
you
only
had.
gave yeah, like they only gave us so much for our labs and like a lot of it was like up to us and like figuring things out. So like you can think of those circumstances too. Like how did you figure it out when, we didn't have office hours or you didn't have so much collaboration with other people? You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Yeah, I would just add that.
Hmm. Yeah. And I mean, a lot of times the creativity goes a long way. I think sometimes creativity is like thought of as something engineers don't do, but it really is. So get it together. I'm just kidding. Be creative and join the arts. Okay, anyways. The next question. Tell us a time when you, wow, I didn't really fully read these questions or how I phrased
And
them.
you,
When
yeah.
you led a team of colleagues slash engineers on a project or had a significant input on a project and it failed. Why did it fail and how did you go about it? Okay, once again, pull from your experiences here. Um, yeah, this is
I,
where like the process part is super important. And I wouldn't say like, oh, actually, everything that I was a part of passed. Like it was super successful and I'm amazing.
yeah, I think,
If mhm.
I don't know, were you gonna say something?
Yeah, I was gonna say if it's something that maybe didn't fail like as a project, but like maybe there was like a deadline that you missed, like I would also like apply that here. Um, yeah, that's all I was gonna say.
Oh, yeah. And I would say like one big thing is taking accountability, right? Especially like as a leader, if you are leading a project and, something does go wrong, you should be able to take accountability for the fact that, like, oh, stuff didn't go as planned, which is like, more common than we think.
Hmm.
But, there are sometimes people like don't want to be wrong. And it's like, well, you're wrong there. So.
Yeah.
So yeah, like also just recognizing that, you do fail and you kind of just have to figure out how to go about it.
Hmm.
And then like that thinking process, like we mentioned, or how you work to fix it is what mainly what they like look for. So yeah, Don't think
Yeah.
saying, "Oh, it didn't fail because I let it," is gonna get you the role.
Yeah. And I think you learn from your mistakes and that just makes you more experienced. So it's
Yeah.
okay to say that, you failed. I'm trying to think of like a project specifically. Um,
I feel like a lot of times for us though, like in labs, things never went right. If I'm being honest, like
yeah. So
we're
if you
like
don't know, me and Vanessa were like the last ones in the lab because
that's never worked for us actually.
yeah. Yeah. Um,
Hey, but
I
we
think
didn't
we
quit.
yeah, we didn't, and that's what matters. I think like even in chemistry, like one time we like dropped the test tube.
We?
So touchy subject for some of us, I feel. Anyways, so that could be considered a failure. How did we go about it? Yeah, we started over. We had like a few minutes left in lab and we tried to hurry up. And I mean, we eventually got it done, but you
Yeah, I
know,
think there was also another time too where I think I don't know what it was we were like measuring and like we had to measure the
write it
first
down.
one like in order because it only accumulated. So we had to get like the first one, the second one, whatever. And I think we were like close to being done, like the second to last or something. And then you're like, oh, like, did you write that down? And then I was like, no, I thought you were writing it down. And it was, we were like, you're joking, right? Oh my God. We always hated each other.
Vanessa wrote. Oh yeah.
Oh, this so, um, I hope it taught me talking
You're
because
back, you're back.
I know I'm hoping like
No, it
mine's
did. I think it
oh,
did.
anyways,
Um,
but yeah, there's a lot of those instances where we're like we're so mad at each other right now, but we also need to get this lab done, so
mhm.
we'll figure it out later.
And that's also like teamwork, like team communication, collaboration skills there.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah.
Um, well, our last question is pretty similar to the one before. I guess I didn't really look at it, but mention a time you failed in a project. Um,
Mm.
it's pretty much the same. Um,
Yeah, I think also, I mean, you can pull from, like your projects and stuff. If you've like completely run out, I mean, I'm sure we've all failed exams before, unless you're like super smart. Because I know I have.
or
And
like, sorry.
no, like I feel like sometimes like you could relate the like um resolution or like actions you took to resolve that like in a similar way, like, oh, I had to do more research to fix this problem, which is like, oh, I had to study more to make sure I did well on the next exam. It's like in a way kind of similar.
Mhm.
Um, you can like use those like steps that you took. Like it can apply to more than one failure in a way.
Yeah, or like you failed a lab. Maybe it's not like a big project, but it was a specific lab
Mm.
assignment, or at some point in a bigger project you failed. And maybe like the whole project didn't fail, but like in that process you did and like what you did to fix it, um, to later, do well or not. I don't know if you did, but but there's like different ways to approach this question. That's what we're trying to say.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm
I
trying to
think
think.
it's like yeah, like a lot of like undergrad students also like trying to get internships and co-ops who may not have as many projects or like experience in their bag. Like you could use the exams and the labs or the assignments as your example
Hmm.
until you build that experience.
Hmm.
Um, and then once you do, like obviously you'll be able to build your your toolkit so that way you do have the experience, say like in a for your full time or I don't know, a different
Part-time, yeah,
yeah.
internship. Yeah, definitely bring those out too. Like, I think we're mostly bringing up like college experiences, but if you have internship experiences, like bring those out, you know. Don't not use them.
Yeah.
they're probably more relevant. Or not. I don't know. It depends on the question, but yeah. Use what you can.
Basically, is
Um,
what we're saying.
yeah. That was, I think we talked more like, sorry. We mentioned a couple technical questions in our last episode, so I think this was the remainder of those types of questions. The other more technical questions are related to like components, um, math, more EE related stuff, filters, op amps, those kinds of questions. So I think we're planning to save them for the next episode. Um,
Just to get more specific.
yeah. So that was it for the remainder of our technical slash not super, super technical questions of our interview questions series. Next time we'll be getting more technical, and going into detail with like components and things like that. Um, God, pop-ups. But thank you everyone for listening. Um, Make sure to visit our website, follow us on social media, and stay tuned for our next episode. Vanessa, do you have anything else to add before we close out?
This episode will be uploaded to YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. We will make a promotional video about it or post about it, I guess, on Instagram and TikTok. So follow us there as well. You could also check out our individual pages. We're individually pretty cool. Um, but yeah, feel free to ask us anything if you
Oh yeah.
want us to talk about something else besides these interview questions, like we're more than willing. If you think you know someone or you are someone who can provide a perspective that maybe we haven't touched on in any of our episodes, feel free to send that over to us. We love recommendations and any suggestions you have. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you again, and we will see you or you will hear us next
Yeah.
time. Okay.
Bye.
Bye.